I hope you won't miss me too much because I am back again with Talk Crypto to Me, the show which is going to be chatting all about people's crypto journeys, NFT journeys, and a bit into the metaverse. Today I'm chatting with Matt Haycock, who's a friend of mine here in Dubai. He's a super cool guy who owns the Sea Squirter. Don't get your mind in the gutter. No, it's actually a yacht, which is so cool that he's actually going to be chatting to me about his sort of business strategy behind crypto. And also about how he almost bought a Bored Ape Yacht Club NFT. I mean, super crazy, super cool. And that was at 2 in the morning. So imagine what he's doing at midday. Right, let's chat to Matt and see what he's been up to in crypto. Matt, why don't you explain a little bit about how, your journey's evolved, how you've gone from being an entrepreneur, businessman, and how crypto really impacted you and has helped boost your wealth potentially? Can I say that?
You certainly can. Although I think if we look at today's prices, it's probably hampered my wealth, not boosted it. But I'm taking a long-term view here, so I'm not too concerned. I mean, I'm pretty late to the crypto game. I say late to the crypto game. I mean, it's still obviously pretty early in the industry. But I think you're compared to probably other people you've had on the podcast and other names that you'd know. I mean, I didn't buy my first crypto until February of last year.
Oh, wow.
February
Okay, so
21.
you were pretty late in the game.
And to be honest, it was probably only January 2021 where I even started to put some effort into actually learning about it. I mean, I mean, in hindsight, I can say I've missed out, but I never really kind of regret the things I haven't done because they were not done for a reason. But I mean, I have friends of mine buying, a year, 2 years, even 3 years before I bought anything. But basically, the start of my journey was a friend of mine back in like I said, January 2021, who'd been buying and trading heavily during COVID. And he'd managed to kind of take some of his UK grants and UK bounce back loans that he'd got in some of his businesses. And
was that
probably,
allowed? Were you allowed to do that?
Yeah. Well, I think he's probably misusing them, but
we won't mention any names. It's fine.
He put them into Bitcoin, into Ethereum, and other cryptos, and started to do very well. So he kind of really turned me onto it back in January of last year. And I probably spent the first 4 or 5 or 6 weeks learning, researching, a lot of YouTube, various blogs and stuff. And then I jumped in and made my first purchase. Now I work in sterling, not dollars. So for anyone watching or listening to this, you'll have to get your calculator out. But I first bought my Bitcoin at about £28,000. And I bought my first Ethereum, I'm going to say at about £1,100. I'd say I probably bought before I knew enough about it, but I also think you only really kind of learn fast when you've got skin in the game and your arse on the line. So I think after my 4 or 5 or 6 weeks of research, it was time to bite the bullet and jump in.
Yeah, so you just went into it, invested first of all Bitcoin and Ethereum, and then you built it up from there. Did you choose to invest in other altcoins?
So my first 2 I bought were Bitcoin and Ethereum, and 12 months on now, if you look, or a little longer, if you look at my portfolio now, it is 99.9% Bitcoin and Ethereum. Okay. Because I mean, my personal strategy here has never been one of trading. It's always been one of buying for a long-term hold. Okay. And I am genuinely buying both of those 2 coins with with a kind of a never-ending time frame of wanting to sell. So for me, it's very much buy and hold. When I have free cash, I'll continue to buy and hold. And even it's not about though it's dipped and I'm buying the dip, or it's not about that it's risen and it's kind of riding a wave. I just buy when it suits my personal kind of fiat cash flow to be able to buy, because I really am buying with a kind of an infinite time scale in place. I have bought some altcoins over the last 12 months. And I'm kind of, I always use them as my example of why I shouldn't have done something. I'm trying. What have I bought? I bought some XRP. I bought the Bored Ape coin recently.
Oh, so you bought an NFT. You bought the coin, not the NFT.
I bought the coin, not the NFT. I've got a little story on the NFT, but I'll come and tell you that in a second. Just finishing off with the altcoins. I bought them at times where my friends were doing it really, and I always like to pride myself on the fact that I don't ever invest in things that I don't understand. Because I really see it as nothing more than gambling, and yes, I'm sure I miss out on some opportunities to make some money, but I honestly believe that when all the boys in the pub or the gym or whatever are talking about doing something, and these are guys who haven't got 3 brain cells to share between them, and they're all talking about, yeah mate, Cardano's going to the moon, and you've got to buy this, you've got to buy that. I'm thinking, you don't even know how to put petrol in your car unassisted, and you are dishing out advice on crypto. And obviously, for me, this is stuff you shouldn't be getting involved in. That's not to say that, by some fluke, what they buy isn't going to go up. But for me, it's just not my style. However, around kind of April, May of last year, I'd had a big touch on a share. A couple of stocks and shares I've been buying. I had a big touch on that. I was reinvesting into Bitcoin, reinvesting into Ethereum, which were going up nicely at the time. And a friend of mine wanted me to. He was having trouble getting money into his crypto account, onto his whatever it was, Coinbase account or whatever. And he was ringing me up saying, "Oh, I want to buy this coin because it's going to kill it in the next few weeks. I want to buy this coin, and I can't get any money into my account. If I send you the money, please will you buy the coin for me on your account?" So I said, yeah, sure, obviously I'll help you out. But then, so he sends me the money to buy to buy the coins for him. I'm thinking, shit, if he wins on this, if he makes some money on this and I've not bought it, I'm going to feel like a right sausage. So
yeah, you should have been like, there's commission on this.
Every time he sent me money to buy a coin, I ended up putting about 3 times whatever he was putting into it myself. So I think XRP, Ripple, Cardano, and one other. I bought them all. And I swear to you, one of these coins within a day, I'd lost like 30%. And the other ones within a couple of weeks, a month. I think my worst loss was about 60% on one, and like my best loss was about 20% on the other.
My best loss. That's terrible if you say my best loss.
Well, but I'm so glad it happened. I always tell the story because, I am really glad it did happen because it kind of brought me back down to earth again and gave me the realism that, I'm deviating from what I believe in. I'm deviating from my plan. And I'm, jumping on the bandwagon. And, listen, that's not to say that, I don't believe in crypto. Obviously, I completely believe in various coins and various concepts and the future of the industry as a whole. But, crypto is like any business. There's good businesses, there's bad businesses, there's things you do, there's things you shouldn't do. And I was just getting stupid and I guess almost just like backing horses because my mates in the pub were backing that same horse. So I'm glad I suffered those losses back then. Because it brought me back down to earth again, and I think I always like to say that I enjoy the 10 grand losses, the 20 grand losses, because if I don't get those, then I'll get carried away with myself, and one day I'll wake up and it'll be 100 grand loss or £1 million loss. So we need a bit of pain to remind ourselves that we're not invincible.
Yeah, so taking all them small losses, all of that advice that you learn, and creating like your own strategy of how you want to proceed, how you want to invest, where you want to have your money.
100%. And like I say, that's not to say I wouldn't have a little dabble at something if I'm not fully versed, but I'm only really interested in doing things that I'm researched on, that I understand, that I can make my own decisions on, and that if they go wrong, I kind of don't mind that they've gone wrong because they've gone wrong on my terms.
Yeah.
And I've had some degree of control there.
Yeah, because it's always interesting. You meet so many people and they do start telling you, I'm creating this coin and it's got this utility. And in your head, you almost believe, you're like, that sounds like a fantastic idea. But actually knowing how it's going to proceed, where it's going to go in the future is actually very difficult to predict.
100%, and like I say, it's just like with anything in business. I mean, look, my day-to-day business is lending and investing to UK businesses. So I mean, I speak to entrepreneurs and business owners day in, day out, with stories to tell, and any good entrepreneur is going to be or should be a great salesperson, and they're going to be a great salesperson. They're going to completely believe in whatever their project or whatever their concept is. And that's not, it's not to say that they're trying to scam you. It's not to say that they're pulling the wool over your eyes in any way, shape, or form. But of course, they're going to sound passionate. Of course, they're going to sound super excited. And it's very easy being the kind of receiving person of this story to think, oh my God, of course that makes sense. Because you know what I mean, so many ideas make sense.
Yeah.
But the idea and execution are two very, very different concepts.
Yeah, I think that's the hard thing. Everyone can come up with an idea. Anyone can create a coin. It's just actually understanding, do they have a strategy? Do they even have, the backing behind them to make something work? Whereas Bitcoin, it's something which we've had in the market now for, it's almost 13 years now that it's been slightly going around. I mean, I think it's maybe like Da Vinci was talking about it. I think he said like 9-10 years ago. So it's been around that long that it's taking time for people to adapt to it.
I mean, yeah, I think in terms of, well, let's say, something not being a scam or something being safe, I think listen, unquestionably, Bitcoin is in that stage now. I mean, it's so organically strong and almost indestructible that as long as you're in it for the long term, no one's going to go far wrong by buying it. Now, that's not to say it's not going to go up and down, over the coming days, weeks, and months. If you're going to, when I say up and down, if you're going to be converting it back to, back to fiat or back to something else. Mm-hmm. But and yeah, from a pounds and pence perspective, my crypto portfolio is very down on what it's cost me to buy it, when matched against sterling. But it really doesn't bother me in any way, because I'm really very much considering that it's not that I've got whatever £10,000 in Bitcoin, it's that I have half a Bitcoin or 20 coins or 50 coins or whatever the number is, and and I effectively denominate my currency or that portion of my wealth in those assets, and therefore don't concern myself to the day-to-day fluctuations. But I think anyone jumping in and out of these altcoins, the next best thing, that they're not buying them with any kind of long-term hold or any great underlying use to those coins. They're wanting to nip in and nip out, convert back to whatever their currency of choice is. And it's no different to buying a stock or share, no different to spinning the roulette wheel. There's going to be some winners and there's going to be some losers. But I've always found myself on the losing side of these things. So and I think the winners are probably not winners because they've got some some great information surrounding this coin. It's probably because they were in at the right time on some inside information. And you know what? If I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. But like I said, I'd rather be wrong on my terms and make money where I feel safer and can sleep more at night.
And you say so you have an investment business. So would you advise people investing in Bitcoin? Is that, or crypto in general? Is that part of your business, or have you not incorporated that?
No, so my day-to-day business is purely funding asset-backed situations back here in the UK. I mean, I don't specifically advise people to invest in crypto or Bitcoin or any specific coins, but if people talk to me about, would I advise them to do it? I mean, I always talk about, I guess my personal strategy, my personal beliefs, and yes, I advise people very much that they should have a portion of their wealth in crypto. But that said, I will always tell anyone, don't do something because I've said it.
Diversify.
But go out there and learn. Listen to my stories and listen to why I think this is a good thing. Listen to why I've done what I've done. But just because I look like I know what I'm talking about in day-to-day life, or just because I may look like I know what I'm talking about because I've made some money in certain other things, don't just go and write a check and buy some Bitcoin or buy some altcoins or whatever it may be. Use me as a stepping stone to learning for yourself, researching for yourself, and then making your own decisions.
Well, everyone sees something like a sea squirter, and they're like, "Oh, that's what I want. I want to have a yacht." And if I invest in crypto, that's all going to happen. And what we're saying is that's probably not likely anymore. You're not going to be earning the millions that people were before.
Well, I'm not going to say you're not going to be any of the millions of people that earned before, but it's an interesting point that you make. There, we say, oh, people see the sea squirter, and it's like,
The
and it'll be
best
just
name
the same
ever.
with just the same with other people who've got other assets or other Instagram profiles. They see the Bugatti, or they see
Yeah.
the private jets and the lavish lifestyle. Now, I can tell you very clearly that crypto has not paid for the sea squirter in any way, shape, or form.
Not if you're making losses, definitely not. You'd have half a sea squirter.
Exactly.
You'd have the
Yeah,
sea
the
bit.
sea squirter and my crypto portfolio are both equally expensive to run at the moment. But I think it's very, very important that when you're looking at these people to learn from, are you learning from the right person about the right thing? I mean, there's so many let's say fakes out there in any space, not just crypto. In any space where they've got a fantastic advert, sat on the front of a Ferrari, sat on the front of a Bugatti, telling a great story, but have they actually really made any money from the thing that they're telling you about?
Yeah, again, it's all looking at people's strategies. Has that solely been the reason that they've made their money, or have they actually just then reinvested in other things, created businesses from it, rather than just literally sat on a keyboard investing money? That not always is the proactive way of doing it.
Exactly. I was going to tell you my NFT story as well.
Yes, I was hoping that you would.
I don't have an NFT at this point, right now, but at the point I was telling this story, this is back in January of this year. And I guess in the same way that I was kind of late to the crypto game, I was a little bit late to the NFT game as well. But spent the back course of last year doing some research, doing some learning, and kind of getting myself ready to make the leap. And I decided that my first purchase was going to be a Bored Ape. Maybe going in with 2 feet first, but
yeah, go hard or go home. Apparently,
I was well. It was an interesting point. One, I was wanting to buy it because no, I wanted to get it because again, like Bitcoin, I kind of believed in the organic strength and brand value of a Bored Ape, that that it had already hopefully broken the threshold of credibility or or longevity, whatever word you want to use. But also, as I said to you earlier, I take the view that I am in Bitcoin and Ethereum for the long term. So therefore, I'm not going to be converting it back to back to fiat currency. So if I'm sat on X amount of Ethereum, I'm thinking, well, hang on a minute, I'm just sat on there with it doing nothing. If I can buy a Bored Ape or buy any NFT, paying for it using my Ethereum, I need to get out of the concept of thinking, oh, that Bored Ape's 100 grand or 200 grand or whatever the figure is. I need to get into the concept of that Bored Ape is 100 ETH. Yeah. And if I've got 200 or 300 ETH that are sat there doing nothing, because that's just part of my long-term portfolio, then I need to do something with that, ETH to hopefully make it grow. So I thought, well, if I'm just going to be sat looking at ETH, I may as well be sat there looking at some ETH and some NFT as well. Therefore, I was never going to take more sterling or take more dollars and go and buy it. I already had the ETH there, so I was just going to convert it. And I think that's an important concept anyone needs to get their head around. It took me a bit of time at the beginning to really think about it like that, because I guess I kept thinking, oh well, these cost X amount of dollars, but if you're going to be denominated in that in a new base currency, then you need a different way of thinking. But anyway, as you may know, and anyone who doesn't know, you can see in the background here, pink is my thing. You can see my big pink throne sat in the background. And I went for dinner with a friend in Dubai, and he helped me on the computer open my OpenSea account and get everything ready. And I went on there to look at some Bored Apes for sale. And this is at a time when the floor price on it was about 80 ETH on the Bored Apes. And I came across a Bored Ape for sale that had long pink hair, a really cool t-shirt, and was smoking a cigar. Now, whilst I'm not a heavy smoker, cigars now and again are also my thing. So I'm looking at this and thinking, oh my God, this is fake.
Yeah, that's made for me.
I've got to jump in. I've got to buy this pink-haired cigar-smoking Bored Ape. But my money, my wallet didn't have any ETH in it connected. And again, for anyone who doesn't know, you've already got to have your money in the account to be able to make a bid. So and at the time, not only was it identical to what I could ask for, when the floor price was 60, this was on offer for about 67, 68. So when it was 80, it was 67, 68. So I'm thinking it's cheap, relatively very cheap, and exactly what I want. It's about 2:00 in the morning. I got another friend of mine in Dubai who's a big crypto guy, got a few NFTs. I knew he'd have the money there, so I sent him a text message saying, "Do me a favor. I'm trying to buy this NFT. I haven't got enough money in my account. Please, can you buy it for me? And I'll send you the money tomorrow." It's 2:00 in the morning. He's probably asleep, so he doesn't reply. So I go to sleep, wake up in the morning about 8:00, and I've had a text message from him back at like 6:00 saying, "Yeah, of course, no problem. I'll buy it for you now." 2 minutes later, tried to buy it for you. It's just sold.
You're like, no, not my perfect NFT.
You got to be kidding me. And it got sold. It's never been relisted, and since then the floor price has just gone up and up and up, and I've not seen such a perfect one again. So I'm distraught. But I'm not going to let it put me off. I will ultimately get around to buying one at some point. Maybe doing this podcast with you has jogged my memory again.
That was definitely probably would have been the best decision you've ever made at 2 a.m. Everyone makes terrible choices then. And you're like, yes, let's get an NFT. That would have been such a classic story. But then, as you say, and now I think it just gives you that opportunity to look more into NFT. You can find another NFT which is going to be suited. We'll find you a pink NFT that's cool.
Find me a pink cigar smoking NFT.
Why don't you create your own NFT? That's what everyone's saying to me right now.
Maybe little pictures of Matt.
But just one that's pink, one that's blue. Well, actually, all pink collection. You could do like a pink collection of NFTs. And find ways, make them a bit different. It'd be you and the sea squirter, you and the cars, you and the Englands. So it's not bad. It's not a bad idea.
You've just reminded me as well. Actually, I was going to say I've always got so much on the go that I end up forgetting what I've done. But I did actually invest in an NFT project last year.
Okay.
And if my partner on it is watching this podcast, he'll be absolutely furious with me for
not plugging the project.
Exactly, for forgetting I even invested and for not plugging it. But no, again, another friend of mine who I met out in Dubai last year he was creating an NFT concept called the Greedy Gramps. Which I don't know if you've heard of it.
I feel like I have.
It's a combination. Well, I guess like any of these, it's a combination of art and utility, but trying to go very, very, very cool. I say cool. It depends what you like, but it's a concept of different kind of granddads, but cool granddads, and again with all different characteristics in the same way that your bored apes have got an earring or a cigar or black hair, red hair, pink hair, whatever. So it's the same concept using gramps, granddads, but then with very strong utility attached to it, and in terms of access to special things, parties, networking, etc. And I guess, like I was saying with the Bitcoin, where I decided it was time to buy some because you learn quicker when you've got skin in the game. This was a guy that I built a bit of a relationship with last year. I liked him. I liked the sound of the project, and I thought, I'll learn more about it if I've got some money in there. So I ended up investing in that at the back end of last year.
Did you not get any? Did he not give you an NFT?
Yeah. Actually, that's a good point. Part of my investment did give me 3 NFTs, and I've forgotten to claim them. So
did you not mint them? You forgot to mint your own. Don't.
Well, they've been minted, but I just never had my account connected to it. So I've not been given them yet. So this has been a really useful morning for me. I've remembered that I'm owed 3 NFTs, and I've remembered that I need to go and buy a bored ape this afternoon as well.
You could be sitting on a fortune you didn't even know about. Well, I want commission.
Unfortunately, I don't think I am, but I'm sat on 3 funky looking pictures.
I mean, yeah. Well, let's hope one of them's pink and cool.
I'm going to find them this afternoon. I'm going to send you a picture.
Yeah, this is definitely going to feature in the podcast. We need to showcase your NFTs, and we need to get people's opinions of what NFT you should be buying.
Well, in general, you mean?
Yeah. Well, because it's hard to know what's sort of the best project, which has the best utility. So, like, do you really go to the source where you try and sort of find out who's behind that NFT or what the community is about?
I mean, when I first started looking at the NFTs, I mean, I was looking at them very much from an aesthetic perspective, and it was very much art. Yeah, oh, it's pink. It's a lovely picture there. But no, I think I think probably naively that's why I was looking at. But I think any longevity in the NFTs is going to be completely based on their utility value.
Well, like you said, we've all got to start somewhere. So it's just really just finding what do you find interesting, start setting up your like MetaMask wallet, doing all these steps. So then eventually you actually know what you're talking about, and then you can click that button and choose what you want to buy.
Exactly.
And that's what you're going to be doing this afternoon, as well as claiming your NFTs. And how about like the overall, the future of the industry? Where do you sort of see all of this going?
Well, I think I mean, I'm obviously not going to be the first person to say that 80, 90, whatever percent of projects are probably going to go to zero. But I think people get a bit too hung up on that, and I think any new industry is going to have a lot of collateral damage along the way, for the great projects to come out on top. And if we look at the internet and the .com industry, etc., going back to the mid 90s and early 2000s. It was no different then. When some projects were skyrocketing, and some people would be talking about, oh, this is the future, and other people are thinking it's a scam or it's crazy. And anything that's new, anything that's understood or even misunderstood is going to have all these negative connotations around it. But I don't. People shouldn't be letting that worry them. It should be, just I guess the impetus to do more research, more learning, to make sure that you're getting involved with and backing the projects that that you think have got the longest or got the most hope of long-term success. But listen, the industry's here to stay. 100%. Whether you like it or don't like it, it is here. In terms of coins, etc. I mean, what's attracted me to crypto, and specifically to Bitcoin, has been how it's helped me learn about about monetary policy, about economics, etc. in general. And I think we're in a world now, and in a current kind of economic and political climate where many currencies, even mainstream currencies, are getting more and more devalued. We're in such a state of high inflation and such a world of lack of trust. Trust of monetary policy, trust of politicians, etc. And for me, these are only going to make Bitcoin and crypto in general, more stronger. People don't, rightly or wrongly, people don't trust the politicians, they don't trust the central banks, and this is a concept that's been talked about by certain people and the vast minority, maybe for many years, but now this is becoming more and more prevalent, and the man on the street is feeling it more and more, with rising food prices, rising gas prices, unemployment, etc. And these are all factors that 100% point to the fact that crypto is here to stay, and that you will be foolish not to make the effort to learn how it's going to impact and benefit your life.
Yeah, I think everyone now, it's power to the people. They want things to be decentralized. They don't want to be running and controlled by the banks. They want, as you say earlier, we have power now over what we choose, over our utilities, all these different things. We actually can make them choices rather than have someone do it for us.
100%.
And in terms of Bitcoin, have you actually bought anything yet in Bitcoin?
I've transferred someone some Bitcoin for some money I owed them for something. I've not made an actual purchase for Bitcoin, but I would say, but my reason for that really is because I was never buying the Bitcoin to trade with. So when I say trade, I mean, you know, make purchases with, etc.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I never will at some point in the future, but you know, if I there's no point in me turning sterling into Bitcoin and then spending that Bitcoin, because all I'm then going to need to do is go and buy some more Bitcoin. Actually, I say I transferred to someone. It was ETH that I transferred to someone, not actual Bitcoin. I like to say, that's not to say at some point in the future, you know, when all of my money's, you know, is denominated in Bitcoin, and maybe the world's denominated in Bitcoin, I might be making some purchases with it. But I'm just looking at it as a long-term asset to hold in my portfolio. So I'm not looking to make any purchases with it yet, just because I don't want to lose the Bitcoin. You know,
Exactly, you don't want to be
buy some more.
Buying like a pizza of Bitcoin and actually in 10 years time reflect, well, actually that pizza cost me about like 20 grand.
Exactly. You know, I mean, we talked a minute ago about the NFTs, and yes, I'd obviously buy an NFT in ETH. I've obviously got no choice. It's the only way to buy it, but I don't worry about that, because I will then consider the fact that I own another ETH denominated asset, and you know, it's just like I own ETH. It's just that some of it's converted into an NFT for a point in time.
All right, amazing. Well, thank you so much, Matt. You've got your homework now. You've got all these different things to go back and do. So thank you for your time. And yeah, I'm sure we're going to be catching up at some point soon.
No problem. Thanks a lot for having me on here, Lily.